In 1980, I dropped out of school and started working to support my fiancé, Ryan Miller. Through college, I also took care of his mother and younger brother. During the day, I sold goods at a street stall, and at night, I worked tirelessly sewing. My eyesight deteriorated, and my fingers grew rough with thick calluses. I thought my sacrifices would mean something, that he would appreciate me, graduate, and marry me as he had promised. But instead, he betrayed me. He had already been involved with another woman, Emma Carter, and they even had a child together. When I found out, Ryan showed no remorse. Instead, he and Emma conspired against me, stole everything I had, and ultimately killed me. I was left with nothing. No money, no justice, no dignity. They buried me in a shallow grave on the hill behind our village, while they went on to live a prosperous life in the city, complete with luxury cars, a high-rise apartment, and a successful career. But fate was kind to me. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back to the day before I had dropped out of school. Ryan was there, pleading with me to give up my chance to take the college entrance exam so I could work and pay for his education instead. This time, I didn't hesitate. I slapped him hard across the face, twice, and announced the end of our engagement. I swore to live my life for myself, free from anyone's control. Sarah, you don't need to take the college entrance exams, Ryan insisted, feigning concern. You should focus on earning money. If we both go to college, how will we pay for the tuition? You know our families can't afford it. Exactly, Sarah, Emma chimed in. College doesn't really help women. What matters is supporting the family. You should give all the money to Ryan. Once he's successful, he'll make sure you live a good life. I blinked, staring at the two people before me. Ryan, my so-called fiancé, and Emma, my so-called friend, who had also been the mistress in my previous life. In my last life, I had been a top student, fully capable of getting into a prestigious university and starting a new chapter in life. But I gave it all up for Ryan. I worked tirelessly, sacrificing everything for him. During the day, I sold goods, and at night, I sewed until my hands bled, all to support his education. I even took care of his mother and younger brother, cooking, cleaning, and doing laundry for them. They were lazy and wasteful, treating me like a free maid. Yet I endured it all because I loved Ryan and saw his family as my own. After years of hardship, Ryan finally graduated from college and landed a decent job. I thought my sacrifices were finally paying off, that he would keep his promise and marry me. But I was wrong. The first thing he did upon returning home was to call off our engagement and announce his plans to marry Emma. That was when I learned the truth. Ryan and Emma had been secretly involved for years. Even before college, they had already planned to attend the same university and live together while I funded their education and expenses. I was completely in the dark, naive enough to believe their lies. While I toiled day and night to make money, not only Ryan but Emma, too, spent the fruits of my labor. Both of their families were poor and couldn't afford tuition or living expenses. But with my sacrifices, they graduated and began successful lives. Now they were preparing to leave the village with their entire families, heading for the city to start anew. Meanwhile, I was left with nothing. My years of sacrifice unnoticed, my love unreciprocated. Even Ryan's mother and brother, whom I had cared for as if they were my own family, treated me as if I were unworthy, a mere high school dropout undeserving of a college graduate. When I confronted Ryan, crying and asking why he betrayed me, he accused me of being loud and damaging his reputation. He and Emma then plotted my death, stealing what little I had left. While they thrived in the city, I was buried in a nameless grave. But this time, things will be different. Heaven has given me a second chance. I was reborn, and it just so happened to be on the most critical day of my life. The day when I had been persuaded to drop out of school and give up the college entrance exams. I looked up at Ryan Miller. In my previous life, I had been infatuated with him, blindly trusting his words without question and willingly sacrificing everything for him. Even though we were only engaged, I had already treated him as the most important person in my life. But now, as I gazed at him, I felt nothing but disgust. Seeing me remain silent, Ryan grew impatient. Well, can't you just give me a straight answer? Don't worry. Once I graduate from college, I'll make sure to marry you in style. Ryan Miller. Always keep my word. Hearing his last sentence, I couldn't hold back a laugh. Always keep your word. I scoffed. How bold of him to say that with a straight face. In my previous life, I had been so blinded by love that I actually believed his lies. Sarah, I'm talking to you. What are you laughing at? Ryan snapped, his face twisting in anger. He rolled up his sleeves, ready to hit me. Yes, Ryan wasn't just an ungrateful, deceitful man. He was also an abuser. In my previous life, if I disobeyed him, he would hit me. Afterward, he'd cry and beg for forgiveness, slapping himself and kneeling before me, promising to change. Afraid of losing him, I forgave him every time. But now, I didn't love him anymore. I wasn't afraid of him and certainly wouldn't let myself be manipulated by his pathetic tactics. If slapping someone was inevitable, I figured I might as well get it over with myself. I stepped forward and delivered 2 sharp slaps across his face. The loud smack echoed through the air, leaving everyone stunned. Emma Carter, startled by my sudden action, let out a scream and covered her mouth. Once she processed what had happened, she rushed to Ryan's side to check his face, practically crying in distress. Her scream attracted the attention of several passing villagers, who quickly gathered around to watch the commotion. Ryan held his now burning cheek, staring at me in disbelief as he shouted, "Sarah, have you lost your mind? How dare you hit me?" Emma pointed her trembling finger at me, her voice shrill. "Sarah, what do you think you're doing? Ryan is your fiancé. How could you slap him like that?" I let out a cold laugh. "My fiancé? You still remember that? Huh, the way you're defending him so fiercely. I thought he was your fiancé." The onlookers, intrigued, formed a circle around us. Seeing the growing audience, Emma's eyes darted around before she suddenly started crying dramatically. "Sarah, I've put up with you bullying me because Ryan always protected you, and I understood. But now you've gone too far. Hitting Ryan like this. I only said a few words of advice, and you're already accusing me of things I didn't do and ruining my reputation. I never expected you to be this kind of person." Ryan quickly joined in, pointing an accusing finger at me. "I really misjudged you, Sarah. I thought I'd work hard, make a fortune, and marry you in style so you'd never have to worry about anything again. But now I see what kind of venomous woman you are." The villagers, unaware of the full story, saw Ryan and Emma's synchronized performance and naturally assumed I was in the wrong. "What's going on here? Isn't that old Cheng's daughter? Why is she hitting people? And her fiancé, too. How could she dare lay a hand on him? Poor Ryan, working so hard to get ahead. And Emma, what a kind soul, putting up with so much. Sarah's completely out of line. Ever since old Chung passed away, that girl's been out of control. A young woman without a man to keep her in line? This is what happens. She's hitting Ryan now, and Emma's no exception. What a disgrace." Hearing the villagers' comments, Emma cried even harder, playing her role to perfection. I couldn't help but laugh at their ridiculous display, their pitiful act as if they'd been wronged in the worst possible way. These 2 despicable people really were cut from the same cloth, since they loved playing the victim and manipulating public opinion from a moral high ground. I decided to give them a taste of their own medicine. Without hesitation, I rolled up my sleeves and looked at Ryan Miller with tear-filled eyes, my expression one of deep grievance. "Ryan," I began, my voice trembling, "how could you be so ungrateful? I gave you money, cared for your family, all because I loved you. Even though you often hit me, I endured it all without complaint. But just because I was scared and reflexively hit back once today, you're now rallying everyone to scold me." My arms were covered in bruises and scratches, injuries I'd gotten a few days ago while working. Some of the marks had scabbed over, but they were still visible enough to serve my purpose perfectly today. The crowd immediately froze in shock. "What? Ryan hits women? A man who beats women isn't a man at all," someone exclaimed. "Regardless of the situation, hitting a woman is unacceptable," another villager muttered angrily. "I can't believe I ever trusted this scumbag," someone else chimed in. Ryan and Emma Carter both stared at me in disbelief. I wiped away a tear and pressed on. "Ryan, after all these years, was I not good enough for you? Or have you simply grown tired of me?" "Oh, I see. It must be because Emma is so outstanding and beautiful, and she has feelings for you. It's only natural for you to fall for her. Emma's face turned bright red. She glanced shyly at Ryan, nervously twiddling her fingers. That's not true. Ryan, don't misunderstand me, she stammered. Ryan's face turned a sickly shade of green, pointing a trembling finger at me. He shouted, You venomous woman. Stop making baseless accusations. I took a couple of steps back, then fell to the ground in a dramatic show of despair. Tears streamed down my face as I wailed. Fine, Ryan. I understand now. Since you've grown tired of me, let's end this cleanly. Let's call off the engagement and go our separate ways. From now on, we'll be strangers. My performance was so convincing that the villagers were visibly moved. So that's the truth? I really misunderstood her. One muttered, Ryan's an absolute disgrace. Calling off the engagement is the right choice. Another declared, It's just an engagement, not a marriage. It's not too late to back out. Someone added, She's still young. She can find someone much better. Another villager reassured. Within minutes, the tide of public opinion shifted entirely. The same people who had been criticizing me moments ago were now rolling up their sleeves, pointing fingers at Ryan, their eyes filled with contempt. Ryan stood frozen, utterly stunned. He couldn't comprehend how the situation had spiraled out of his control so quickly. When he tried to speak, the villagers drowned him out with an onslaught of scolding and insults. Beads of sweat dripped down his forehead as he struggled to defend himself, but it was no use. He could only glare at me with a dark expression. Sarah, are you serious about this? He finally hissed through gritted teeth. If you really want to call off the engagement, then fine, I'll do it. But don't come crying to me later when you regret it. I rose to my feet slowly, my voice resolute. I'm absolutely serious. Ryan, I'll never regret this decision. In this second chance at life, there was no way I'd repeat the mistakes of my past. Ryan's face twisted in anger as he spat. Fine, then let's break off the engagement. But mark my words, when I make it big and become rich, don't you dare come crawling back, begging me to marry you. I shook my head and sighed. Look at him. This man was so ordinary yet so self-assured. In my past life, without my financial support and the care I provided for his burdensome family, he wouldn't have even made it through college. What was he dreaming about with his talk of making it big and earning lots of money? From the look on his face and the tone of his voice, he clearly still believed I was just throwing a tantrum. It was laughable. Truly, thinking back, it was obvious that he had wanted to break off the engagement long before. The only reason he hadn't was because I willingly worked and sacrificed to support his education. He waited until after graduation, once he had been assigned a stable job and no longer needed me, to kick me to the curb. He had been so confident that I couldn't live without him, that he was indispensable to me, but I was no longer the person I used to be. I replied calmly, Don't worry. I won't regret it. Just make sure you don't come begging me later. Ryan scoffed, spitting on the ground. Beg you? Ha! Over my dead body. You, a worthless, uncultured farm woman? I'd rather bash my head against a wall and die. Several older women nearby were immediately offended, pointing their fingers at him. They scolded him fiercely. What's wrong with a farm woman? Didn't a farm woman raise you two? And now you have the nerve to look down on them? You ungrateful brat. Get out of our village as soon as you can. More and more villagers gathered, their voices full of condemnation. Ryan couldn't withstand the mounting insults. Flushed with embarrassment, he turned to leave, dragging Emma Carter along with him. But I wasn't done yet. Wait a minute, called out, stopping him just as he was about to step out of the crowd. Hearing me, he paused mid-step and turned back with an arrogant smirk. Oh, so now you're admitting you were wrong? Well, it's too late. But if you truly repent, I might forgive you. All you have to do is praise me in front of everyone here. Hand me $300 and buy some new clothes for my little brother. Then we can forget all about this. I almost burst out laughing. Holding out my hand, I raised my voice and said, Since we've broken off the engagement, there's no reason for me to tolerate your behavior anymore. How about you repay the money you've borrowed from me? It's only fair to settle your debts, isn't it? Ryan's face turned red with anger. What are you talking about? When did I ever borrow money from you? I started listing them off one by one. May of 77. You said you needed $20 to treat your friends to dinner. June of 77. You said you needed $15 to buy new clothes because yours were torn. Then, before I could finish, he interrupted me with a string of curses. You lying witch. Stop spewing nonsense. If you've got proof, show me the IOUs. Otherwise, don't you dare say I owe you anything. All that money was what you gave me willingly, not a loan. Get it straight. The crowd erupted in shock. So Ryan's been freeloading off her all this time? Someone murmured. How shameless. Asking for money and not even leaving an IOU. Then treating her like this? Unbelievable. She worked so hard to support him, and he didn't even appreciate her. What a disgrace. Even the villagers who had defended Ryan earlier were now silent, retreating into the crowd and pretending they hadn't spoken. Finally, Ryan snapped, his face red with fury. He shouted, "Enough!" His eyes darted around desperately, as though searching for an escape. Glaring at me with seething hatred, he growled, "Are you serious about wanting me to repay you?" I nodded firmly. Of course. Why wouldn't I? The money he owed me added up to about $200. A substantial sum in these times. It was money I had scrimped and saved through hard work, sacrificing my own needs. I wasn't about to let him walk away with it. How could I let him walk away with my money without paying it back? After all, no one's money grows on trees. It's only right to get it back. The villagers around me began chiming in with support. That's right. Sarah, you should get your money back. Ryan, if you're a real man, pay her what you owe. At least leave with a shred of dignity. One of them said sternly. Voices from the crowd rose in agreement, putting immense pressure on Ryan. With gritted teeth and his face turning red from anger, he reluctantly agreed. Fine, I'll pay you back. Just wait for it. Emma Carter, however, wasn't pleased. In her usual sneering tone, she interjected. Sarah, it's just a couple of $100. Is it really worth being so calculating over? You and Ryan have known each other for so long. Is there any need to be this petty? Her words sparked a thought, and I turned to her with tears in my eyes, feigning hurt. Yes, I am petty. I'm nothing compared to you. Emma, you must be so much more generous, considering how you've been spending my hard-earned money while clinging to Ryan every day. Since you love him so much, why don't you help him pay off his debt to me? My words were like a bombshell, instantly detonating in the crowd. In this conservative community, moral purity was held in high regard, and infidelity was one of the most despised acts. Both Ryan and Emma went pale in an instant. Emma looked as though she might burst into tears. Sarah, what are you talking about? Ryan and I are just friends. How could you accuse us of something like that? She cried out, her voice trembling. Ryan pointed at me, his voice loud and angry. Sarah, don't go too far. Apologize to Emma right now. If you don't, I swear I'll never marry a vile woman like you. I rolled my eyes so hard I almost saw the back of my head. The sheer absurdity of his words nearly made me gag. When he saw my dismissive expression, he rolled up his sleeves, clearly ready to lay hands on me again. But this time, several strong men from the crowd stepped forward, surrounding him. What do you think you're doing, Ryan? One of them growled. You think you can strut around here with your mistress and bully Sarah? You're both a disgrace. Considering your age, we're willing to let this slide. But don't push your luck. If you mess with Sarah, you're messing with all of us. The tension was palpable, and a few of the more hot-tempered villagers looked ready to drag Ryan out and give him a beating. Meanwhile, Emma was being berated by several older women, her face flushed with embarrassment as tears streamed down her cheeks. Within moments, the two of them became the laughingstock of the village, fleeing like rats, stumbling and tripping as they disappeared from sight. Once the crowd began dispersing, I thanked everyone for their support and turned to head home. Earlier, I had come out to help Ryan's mother, Linda Miller, manage their family's market stall. But after the chaos that unfolded, I decided to leave the stall behind entirely. It wasn't my responsibility. After all, if they didn't care, why should I? In my past life, even before I dropped out of school, I often helped Linda with the stall. After leaving school, I worked even harder, setting up my own stall selling handmade goods just to make ends meet. Most of the money I earned ended up being spent on Ryan's family. Linda had seen my efforts firsthand. Yet when Ryan graduated and returned home, she was the first to support breaking off our engagement. She even said I wasn't good enough for her son, calling me a toad trying to eat swan meat. Her vile expression was etched into my memory. And now, I wouldn't waste a single ounce of effort on such ungrateful people. When I walked into their house, Linda was lounging on the bed, comfortably fanned by an electric fan while eating watermelon and watching TV. Seeing me, she frowned. "Why are you back in the middle of the day? Did you leave the stall? Don't tell me you made Ryan look after it." From her expression, I could tell she was worried about her precious son. Ryan had never tended to the stall in his life, not even in my past life. He always turned his nose up at it, saying it was the kind of work only village women did. Linda clicked her tongue in disapproval, nagging, "You're so lazy. Hurry back to the stall. And while you're at it, tell Ryan to come home. I have something to talk to him about." She got off the bed and gave me a push, urging me to leave. "Mom, wait a minute." A voice called from the other room. Ryan's younger brother, Tyler Miller, came out, yawning. "I'm starving. Tell her to make me something to eat before she goes." Linda waved him off dismissively. What could she possibly cook that's worth eating? Just go out and buy something. If you don't have money, ask her for some. Tyler didn't even bother with manners, barking at me. "Hey, you, give me some cash." This family of parasites nearly made me laugh from sheer anger. In my past life, Linda and Tyler had taken full advantage of my love for Ryan, treating me like their personal servant and ATM. No matter how much I did for them, they never once showed an ounce of gratitude. They never said a single good word about me. Instead, they often lost their temper and hurled insults at me. If they faced any frustrations outside, they would come home and vent on me to feel better. In my past life, I endured it because I was blinded by love. I thought if I just put up with it for a while, happiness would come in the future. It wasn't until the very end that I realized how utterly wrong I had been. Now, I wasn't going to take their nonsense anymore. I turned to Linda Miller and said coldly, "The stall is unattended right now. If you're worried about losing your goods, you should go take care of it yourself." Then I turned to Tyler Miller. "I don't have food for you, and I don't have money to give you. As for the money I gave you a few days ago, return it immediately. If you don't, I'll make sure everyone knows about the time you stole stationery from your classmates." The two of them froze, stunned. "You, what do you mean? Do you not understand?" I said, my tone icy. "Let me put it plainly. I no longer consider you family. You're not welcome here. Get out of my house right now." That's right. This house was mine. Ryan's family home was a rundown shack with leaking roofs, while mine was a spacious and bright courtyard house. After my parents passed away a few years ago, because of my engagement to Ryan and the close ties between our families, Linda had taken it upon herself to move into my home. She claimed she was here to help care for her future daughter-in-law and strengthen the bond between our families. In reality, their entire family had been freeloading off me ever since. They lived comfortably in the main house while I was relegated to the side room, as if I were the outsider. You've really lost all respect for your elders." Linda trembled with rage, pointing her finger at me and cursing. "Fine, just you wait. From today on, don't even dream of marrying into our family." Tyler, not to be outdone, sneered. "You're crazy. You deadbeat woman. Apologize to my mom right now and give me some compensation money, or this isn't over. And don't forget, if you push it too far, I'll get my brother to beat you up." They still thought they could use Ryan as leverage to manipulate me into submission, but I just smiled. "Oh, didn't you hear? Ryan and I are no longer engaged." The two of them went silent, their expressions morphing into disbelief. After a moment, Linda exclaimed, "Are you insane? Breaking off the engagement with Ryan? Aren't you afraid no one else will want you after this?" Linda, clearly panicked, grabbed the hem of my shirt, whining, "No, you can't break off the engagement. Who's going to manage the stall if you do?" Ever since I got engaged to Ryan, I had been the one handling their family's market stall, watching over it, purchasing stock, and managing everything. Linda had always been lazy and self-indulgent, unwilling to let go of me, her free labor. Tyler lunged forward, gripping my pants leg tightly. You can't call it off. You have to be my sister-in-law. This, coming from the same person who had been calling me a deadbeat woman just moments ago. The way this family's true colors matched so perfectly disgusted me. I didn't bother wasting more words on them. Fine. You won't leave? Then I'll call the neighbors over and let them decide. Let's see what everyone thinks about whether you should still live in my house now that Ryan and I are no longer engaged. Realizing I was serious, Linda panicked. Fine. We'll leave, she snapped, hastily gathering their belongings while grumbling under her breath. I don't know what's gotten into you, but I'll remember this. Mark my words. I'll never let someone like you into my family. I ignored her complaints, leaning against the wall as I urged them to hurry up. Tyler grudgingly threw a piggy bank at me. This is all I've got. Count it yourself to see if it's enough. If not, I don't have more. The arrogance of it all. Truly, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. I slowly bent down, picked up the piggy bank, and said with a casual smile, no worries. If it's not enough, I'll just ask Ryan for the rest. Take care. And don't let the door hit you on your way out. Their faces turned an ugly shade of green as they stormed out in a fit of anger. After they left, I thoroughly cleaned the house, both inside and out. Soon, it looked completely refreshed. I even replaced all the locks with new ones. As for the belongings they had used, I threw them all out. There was no room for such unlucky objects in my new life. Linda Miller had left some of her things behind, perhaps thinking she might return someday, but I wasn't about to keep them around to clutter my space. I tossed those out as well. Once I finished tidying up, I borrowed a bicycle from the village chief and rode to the city. The college entrance exams were coming up soon, and I needed to focus on my studies. Getting into a good university was the only way to truly change my future. Since fate had given me this second chance, I would not squander it. After riding for over an hour, I arrived in the city and made my way to a recycling center. In my past life, this was where I had found study materials for Ryan Miller. These materials, left behind by previous students, were full of annotations and extra notes that covered various key knowledge points. When Ryan studied them, his grades improved dramatically. Even Emma Carter had benefited, as Ryan shared the materials with her, allowing her to scrape by and get into the same university as him. This time, those life-changing materials were mine. I gathered all the study guides and rode back to the village. On my way, I passed Linda's market stall and spotted Ryan and Emma sitting on a bench nearby. They were sitting close together, arms wrapped around each other, with no one else nearby to witness their behavior. They no longer bothered to hide their relationship. Emma was crying, her tears falling like raindrops. What am I supposed to do now? How will I face anyone? She sobbed pitifully. Don't cry, Emma, Ryan said, patting her shoulder to comfort her. It's fine. She'll apologize to you soon enough. Apologize? Emma said indignantly. Why should she apologize? She's already broken off the engagement with you. Ryan let out a cold laugh, his tone dripping with disdain. You're overthinking it. She's just playing hard to get, trying to manipulate me with these little tricks she's picked up from who knows where. Does she really think I'm scared of her? Just watch. I bet she'll come crawling back in less than 2 days to apologize. And when she does, you can make her pay for everything she's done. Hell, I could even make her kneel and beg for forgiveness if I wanted to. Emma smiled sweetly and kissed Ryan on the cheek. You're the best, Ryan. That moment, Linda's voice suddenly rang out behind them. Well, Ryan, you're here sneaking around with your mistress. She threw her luggage onto the ground and stormed over, grabbing Emma by the hair and raising her hand to slap her. Linda was fuming. On the way to the village, both she and Tyler had been the subject of scornful gossip from the villagers, who whispered about her son being a freeloader and a cheater. Her face burned with humiliation. What followed was utter chaos. Ryan eventually managed to pull Linda away from the tearful Emma, who ran off sobbing, glaring at his mother. Ryan demanded, "What's with all the luggage?" Linda snorted, "What else? That so-called good fiancé of yours kicked us out of her house. We have no place to stay now and have to go back to that run-down shack you call a home." Tyler angrily kicked a rock nearby. I don't want to go back. That place leaks and is practically uninhabitable. Ryan frowned, his expression darkening. Sarah has gotten completely out of control. If she wants to pick a fight with me, fine. But taking it out on my family, on an old woman and a kid? That's low. She's so immature. He grabbed Linda's arm. Come on. Let's go confront her. Linda's mood instantly brightened. Oh, so you're just fighting? I thought the engagement was actually over. She picked up her bags, grumbling. Carrying all this stuff is exhausting. When we see her, make sure she massages my shoulders as an apology. Just then, I leisurely rode past them on my bike. Ryan spotted me and smirked smugly. See? We don't even need to go find her. She's already coming to us. Linda grinned, her face full of satisfaction. Good. Make her carry all this stuff back to the house. I'm not carrying a thing. Linda Miller snapped. Let him carry it since he's the one who got us kicked out. I didn't even glance at them as I pedaled past. Ignoring their expectant stares and smug attitudes, all three of them stood there, stunned, swallowing the words they had been so ready to hurl at me. Linda glared at Ryan and scolded. This is all your fault. If you hadn't been fooling around with that shameless woman, we wouldn't be stuck going back to that rundown house. Ryan gritted his teeth, his face dark with anger. She's doing this on purpose. Just give her a day. She'll come crawling back. She can't live without me. Just watch and see. The next morning, I woke up in my warm, comfortable room. For the first time in what felt like forever, I could enjoy a peaceful rest on my day off. There was no need to wake up early to tend a stall. No haggling over prices during restocks. After getting up, I prepared myself a hearty breakfast, indulging in foods I had been too reluctant to eat in my past life. This time around, I was living for myself and wouldn't deny myself these simple pleasures. Once I had eaten, I focused on my studies. With the materials I had gathered, I progressed quickly, absorbing knowledge as if my mind were a sponge. By the afternoon, during a short break, I decided to calculate the exact amount Ryan's family owed me. I wrote everything down in detail, ensuring there was no room for dispute. With the calculations complete, I headed toward Ryan's house. As I approached their door, I overheard Linda's voice. Aren't you skipping school? Then why are you still at home? Get out there and set up the stall already. The whole family depends on that income. Ryan's irritated voice followed. Forget the stall. Just wait. She'll show up any moment now. She's never stayed mad at me for more than a day. That's true, Tyler added confidently. Mom, just wait. She'll come crawling back soon enough. I was just about to knock when Emma's voice rang out behind me. Sarah, what a surprise to see you here, she said with a mocking smile, covering her mouth as if suppressing a laugh. Are you here to apologize? I hope I'm not in the way. I'm just here to check on Ryan. I couldn't help but roll my eyes. Just then, the door opened, and Ryan stepped out. His face lit up the moment he saw me, and he threw a triumphant glance at Linda as if to say, I told you so. Linda, too, grinned widely. See? Couples don't hold grudges overnight. Go on. Make up already. Before I could speak, Ryan raised a hand to stop me. His face turned stern as he said, I'm willing to forgive you, but you'll need to agree to a few conditions. First, kneel and apologize to Emma for the way you smeared her reputation. Then, kneel before my mom and my brother to apologize for forcing them to stay in that awful house last night. Finally, drop out of school and dedicate yourself to managing the stall full-time, earning money to support my family. Do all this, and I'll let you continue being my fiancé. The smug look on his face nearly made me burst out laughing. Ryan, have you lost your mind today? I asked, my tone dripping with sarcasm. Emma chimed in, pretending to be gracious. Sarah, you should be more polite. After all, you came here to apologize. It's only right to humble yourself and let Ryan make the decisions. I had no words for how ridiculous they sounded. With a loud slam, I placed the ledger I had prepared on the table. Listen up, I said firmly. I didn't come here to apologize. I came to collect what you owe me. Every penny you borrowed over the years is written down right here. $460 in total. Pay it back, and we'll call it even. From now on, We go our separate ways and stay out of each other's lives. Emma glanced nervously at Ryan, who had turned pale with fury. Her eyes brimmed with tears as she sobbed. Sarah, do you really have to be so heartless toward Ryan? After everything he's done for you? I interrupted her coldly. Emma, since you love Ryan so much and you've spent quite a bit of my money, surely you'll help pay it back too. Right. Emma immediately swallowed her tears, going silent and not daring to utter another word. Linda Miller stepped forward with a forced smile. Sarah, we've known each other's families for years. There's no need to make such a big deal out of this. I ignored her and continued. I know you're planning to dodge repayment, and who knows what dirty tricks you'll try. That's why I've called some of the villagers here to witness everything. It was only then that they noticed the voices coming from outside. Their faces turned all shades of red and white as they stood speechless. The villagers had surrounded their house, packed several rows deep. What's going on? One asked. I heard Ryan's family owes Sarah money and won't pay it back. Didn't their son get caught cheating on his fiancée? Now she's here to settle accounts. Another added. This family has no shame. Someone chimed in. I remember old Mr. Miller used to pull stunts like this too. Always up to no good until he got drunk and caused a scene that got him beaten to death. Just pay her back, one villager urged. We're all from the same village. Don't make this uglier than it already is. Linda was seething with anger but couldn't bring herself to lash out at Ryan. Instead, she grabbed Emma and started hitting her. It's all your fault. You little vixen. You've ruined my entire family. Tyler Miller, embarrassed by the commotion, muttered a few curses before retreating to a back room to hide. Ryan finally seemed to realize that I wasn't here to apologize. Under the mounting pressure from the onlookers, he reluctantly rummaged through the house for some savings. When he came up short, he angrily forced Linda and Emma to hand over whatever money they had on them. Finally, with a dark expression, he turned to me and said, Sarah, you better think this through. Once I pay you back, don't expect me to marry you ever again. I was so tired of hearing this same threat. Your house is practically falling apart. Why would I even consider marrying into your family? Now hurry up and hand over the money. He shoved the money at me. I counted it and realized it was less than $200. You're still missing more than half, I said. It took all four of you this long to scrape together this little? The villagers erupted into laughter, and Ryan's face turned beet red. I'll give you the rest in a few days, he muttered. Write me an IOU then, I replied. Ryan had no choice but to write the note, his hands shaking with frustration. As he handed it to me, he growled, Sarah, you'll regret this. Mark my words. I paid him no attention, taking the IOU and leaving without a backward glance. The IOU gave him 2 months to pay the remaining amount. During those 2 months, Ryan behaved like a turtle hiding in its shell, avoiding me entirely. It was perfect. I could finally focus on my studies without his interference. During this time, I also befriended a woman named Mrs. Gu, who ran a handmade shoe business. But she wasn't just any ordinary shoemaker. In my past life, she had risen from this very village to become the queen of handmade shoes, a nationally renowned businesswoman. I used half of my savings to invest in her business as a partner. Not only that, but I also went to her shop to help with sales. With the experience from my previous life, I excelled at the work, earning endless praise from Mrs. Gu. Mrs. Gu was naturally kind-hearted, and when she learned that I had lost both of my parents and was living alone, she treated me with even more warmth. In turn, I treated her with genuine respect and affection, as if she were my own mother. Although I spent most of my time studying and working with Mrs. Gu, I still occasionally heard news about Ryan, his family, and Emma. After that fateful day, their lives had started to unravel. Their reputation was utterly ruined. Every day, people threw rotten vegetables at their house. Whenever they ventured outside, they became the subject of constant gossip. Linda Miller's stall was also vandalized. Her goods were either stolen or destroyed, leaving her with no business and no income. Whenever she was in a bad mood, she would take it out on Emma Carter, demanding that Emma pay off the debt their family owed me. Ryan, too preoccupied with his own troubles, didn't bother defending Emma. Instead, he turned a blind eye. After all, he didn't have money either. And having a scapegoat like Emma worked to his advantage. Desperate to win back Ryan's affection, Emma stole her family's savings to give to him. When her parents discovered what she had done, they beat her severely and kicked her out of the house. With nowhere else to go, she had no choice but to move in with Ryan's family. Once Ryan paid off the debt he owed me, I cut ties with him completely. Whatever happened to them after that was no longer my concern. Meanwhile, Mrs. Gu's business flourished. She opened several new branches in both the town and the city, and I began receiving substantial dividends every month as her partner. As the college entrance exams approached, Mrs. Gu insisted that I focus solely on my studies and stopped me from coming to the store, though my share of the profits remained unchanged. She even encouraged me to spend some money on myself, advising me to buy nice clothes and treat myself well. Compared to Linda Miller, who had tried to force me to quit school and work to support her family while constantly demanding money from me, Mrs. Gu's kindness moved me to tears. Following her advice, I went to the city, bought myself several beautiful outfits, and indulged in foods I had never allowed myself to eat in my past life. Soon after, I made a new friend who eventually became my closest confidant. Her parents, both teachers, often gave us free tutoring sessions, helping me improve my grades even further. Time passed quickly, and the college entrance exams finally arrived. Thanks to my thorough preparation, I performed exceptionally well. My friend also did great, and it seemed likely that we would both be admitted to the prestigious university we had been aiming for. As for Ryan and Emma, this life was nothing like the last one. Without the study materials I had provided or the money I had earned for them, their days were filled with hunger and struggle. Starving and without proper resources, they couldn't even focus on studying. In the end, they didn't show up for the college entrance exams at all. When the exam results were announced, I learned that I had been accepted into my dream university. The news spread quickly throughout the village, and the villagers came to congratulate me. Among the visitors were Ryan, Linda, and Tyler. They were dressed in tattered clothes, thin and frail, looking like beggars. Their arrogance from before was completely gone. I frowned as they approached. "What are you doing here?" "Sarah, I know I was wrong," Ryan said, his face full of pleading. His once proud demeanor had crumbled into utter humility. "I made a mistake. Please, can we make up? Let's start over." "Okay, I'll treat you right this time," Linda chimed in, her voice ingratiating. "Sarah, just get back together with Ryan. I'll support you going to college." "All right." I didn't hold back my disdain. "And who exactly are you to me? I got into college on my own merit. Why would I need your permission to attend?" Ryan clenched his fists tightly, but he maintained a flattering smile. "Sarah, I'll work hard to provide for you. You can go to school without worrying. Okay, I know college is expensive, and life will be hard for you without help." "Who said she would struggle financially?" a firm voice interrupted. I turned to see Mrs. Gu walking toward me in a sharp suit, exuding confidence and authority. Today was the grand opening of one of her new stores, and she had come straight from the event to congratulate me. Smiling warmly, she handed me a large gift box. "Sarah, congratulations on achieving your dream," she said with genuine affection. Ryan, Linda, and Tyler stared at her, dumbfounded. It took them a moment to realize who she was. "Isn't that the famous businesswoman everyone's been talking about recently?" Linda whispered in shock. Ryan, unable to control his emotions, pointed at me and began yelling, "You sly woman! How did you manage to get close to someone like her without us knowing?" Mrs. Gu shot him a cold glare. "You are not welcome here. Leave immediately." Before Ryan could protest, several tall and burly bodyguards stepped forward and forced him and his family away. That night, a strong smell of smoke wafted through the air outside my window, followed by the sight of roaring flames climbing into the sky. My house was on fire. Outside, Ryan and Emma stood with torches in their hands, their faces twisted with hatred and cruelty. "Let's see you be smug now," Ryan shouted. "Let's see you go to college now. You think you're better than us? Let's burn it all down and ruin you completely. Ha ha ha." The firelight illuminated their sinister smiles as smoke billowed into the night sky. They had just started to leave, thinking they'd gotten away with their crime, when they were stopped in their tracks. A group of police officers stood before them. their expressions cold and unyielding. Behind them were the village chief and several villagers holding buckets, ready to put out the fire. The lead officer spoke. "Ryan Miller. Emma Carter. You are under arrest for arson." "What? That's impossible," Ryan stammered, stumbling back a step. "How did you know? Why are there so many people here?" I stepped out from behind the crowd, my presence answering his question. When Emma saw me, she pointed a trembling finger in my direction. "It was her. She set us up." I smirked. "You're absolutely right. It was me." I had known about their plan ahead of time and deliberately stayed away from my house that night. Instead, I gathered enough witnesses and authorities to catch them red-handed. Realizing what had happened, Ryan erupted in a string of curses. "You venomous woman!" he shouted as the officers handcuffed him and Emma, dragging them away. The villagers quickly extinguished the fire. Aside from some scorched walls, the damage was minimal. Ryan and Emma would be responsible for compensating me for the losses, a debt so large that they would never be able to repay it in their lifetimes. Both of them were sentenced to prison in a dilapidated facility outside the town. There, they were bullied relentlessly by other inmates. It wasn't long before news came that they had both died in custody. Linda Miller showed up at my house, wailing and cursing me as a bringer of misfortune, demanding that I pay for her son's suffering. She waited from morning until night, but I never showed up. That was because I was already on a train to the big city with my best friend and Mrs. Gu. I had sold the house to someone else and left the village behind entirely. As the train rumbled forward, the morning sun rose slowly over the horizon. I gazed out the window at the swiftly retreating scenery, my heart filled with hope and anticipation for the future. Life stretched endlessly ahead, brimming with possibilities. And with that, today's story comes to an end. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Feel free to share your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. See you in the next video.